Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to go over my tier list for illustration rares to explain to you how I think it's a great tool just to help you focus on your collection goals with how I rank them based on the artwork and what I use it for. So with a lot of cards right now going up in value, I think it's very hard to focus on the actual cards you want to buy if you don't already have a system down, a really focused collection goal. So this tier system, I rank it based on art, and then each tier tells me how much I want this card. So we'll go through this. So C tier, actually let's just start with the bottom. D tier. D tier is the lowest tier for me. It's cards that, because of the artwork, I am disgusted. I just don't want that artwork in my collection. And we'll go with the prime example of this Drowsy that has been popping off. Remember, art is very subjective, and this is my biased list of cards I want to add in my collection, okay? Artwork wise, I don't like this artist's artwork style, and nothing wrong with it. It's just not for me, right? So D cards are not for me. And as you can see, there's about 3 different art styles in this tier list. So the very abstract, or I don't know if the abstract is the right word, but squiggly line, a lot of colors going everywhere. Look, image. And it kind of leads into, these are kind of similar in that way. And then you get to the more fun, comical storybooks, story type of cards like these ones. And then you get to the really boring or very close-up artworks that I just don't like for that Pokemon. Now, these do include Pokemons that I like Baxcalibur. I use this in the game. I actually love Baxcalibur. Larvesta, I use it in the game. So even Drillbur, is it Drillbur? No, Excadrill. I love a lot of these Pokemon, but because of the artwork that I don't like, I have no FOMO to have this card if the price goes up. So with the Drowsy going up to $70, every card above it I will pay more for than the Drowsy. So Drowsy being $70, I would not want this card. So if you have a system like this, you don't FOMO about cards going up. People who will say this card's undervalued, but this is your value list. So cards in the C tier should be worth more than the D tier cards for you, right? And then you'll see a lot of cards in the C tier. I rank it as I don't care. I don't care for the card. I don't hate the card like D tier, but I don't love the cards either. Most of the cards are going to be in the C tier. It's fine for what it is. It's not a card I care for to add to my collection. And now if I have the card, I'll be fine with it. I wouldn't be disappointed, but at the same time, I wouldn't be excited for it. So that's kind of how the emotional ranking is for C tier cards. And that's why you see a bulk of them are in C tier. Now, a lot of these cards do have value, like the Metagross, Fracture, some 151, even a Heracross. So I don't just collect a Pokemon just because of its generation. These are based solely on the art, right? The Pokemon does play a factor. Obviously, if you love a Pokemon, the art might influence you to like it more than if the art was for a different Pokemon. So again, I like Metagross as a Pokemon. So its art style is kind of similar, I would say, to, I don't know, even like something like these in a way. It's not like super sharp or super polished artwork. It's still more fun than serious. Like this is really sharp images, right? And more realistic. But because I like the Pokemon, it actually moves it up higher. But the fact that I don't like it enough to really want to collect it, as soon as it goes up in value, I sold this card, to be honest. So a lot of these cards is usually lesser Pokemon that I don't really care for, like in game. So I play the main game and then I collect the cards. So you'll see a lot of the lesser popular Pokemon are in the C tier. Now B tier is where a lot of these cards I want to have one day in my collection. Maybe one day I'll have it, but it's not a rush for me to get the cards. And more of these cards, again, are kind of influenced by the art. You'll see the art is definitely more cleaned up, less squiggly lines, more sharp in a way. There's a few exceptions, like this King Gambit's pretty, kind of, I don't know what to say, messy compared to, we'll say the Iron Thorns. So, but you'll see most of my arts up here are pretty cleaned up, right? And a few of these are really super realistic. I really like this kind of art style with super realistic. And then you got a lot of Gen 9 Pokemon. I know a lot of people don't even like Gen 9 cards or Pokemon to collect the cards of, but for me, the art looks really clean. I like it. This Bellibolt is a really clean artwork. And even with Gen 1 Pokemon, I won't put them in S tier just because they're Gen 1. The cards don't really say, I gotta have it, right? And then you'll see some really high value cards here too, like the Ghastly, Raichu, Slowpoke's going up in crazy value. Houndour's going up in crazy value. Like these cards are going up in crazy value, but for me, I don't want it. Like it's just one day I'll like to buy this card, but I'll like to have all my other cards first, which is going to be A tier, S tiers before I buy these cards. And the reason I bought this card in Japanese was because I didn't want it to go up in value because of the English bleed over effect. So I had this card. I think I traded for a bunch of other cards when it's like $40 out the gate. But everything else, if you look at their values, I think a lot of these cards are fairly valued, like $3 to $10 maybe. They're nothing crazy value in this tier list except for the first 3 or 4. Now A tier. A tier are cards that I I like to have it in my collection, and for the right price, I like to pick it up as soon as possible. So you will see very popular Pokemon here, very sought after illustration rare. So you got the Magikarp, you got the 151 starter lineup, a lot of 151 cards because I like 151. I like the OG Pokemon, right? Obviously, that's an influence on what cards I'll collect and like to collect right away. You got Gen 9 starters. You got a lot of Gen 9 Pokemon that I think the artwork just looks so cool. The Earthworm looks awesome. The Wiglet looks cool. Who's gonna put Wiglet in the A tier? But I like the artwork for it. A lot of underwater cards are in this tier because I just like the blues. Lion King S, Tauros, Tatsugiri. Now this is a fun card, but they do it well enough that I like it, right? And this is also a fun card. It's not the most sharpest image and cleanest artwork, but I like the way it's done. It's done very well. And even new DLC Pokemon like this is up in the A tier because the colors look amazing. And you have the Ralts family line, you got the Dustclot family line, Evolution line, and a bunch of lower value Obsidian Flames cards did very well. They had a lot of good illustration rares, and at the time when I bought them, they're like maybe $5 or less, right? So if you know what cards you want, as soon as the price is right, you buy it. You don't have to wait for someone to say this card's undervalued for you to pick it up, right? Like I pretty much have all of these cards. I want to say up to a certain point, like maybe around here I have already. These are much newer cards that I don't have, or I kind of waited a little longer to buy. So anything Stellar Crown, Shrouded Fable, and on, I kind of stopped buying English, and I'll probably just buy them in Japanese, like this Feebas Surgeon Spark, Shrouded Fables. Like these are all new cards. On the fence, I like to have it, but I'm not in a rush to get them. The price has to be right, and the fact that right now I'm kind of focused on collecting other things like alternate arts from Simplified Chinese and on so forth. So A tiers are cards I like to have. So most of these cards will be in my collection, and you see the tier list is definitely smaller than C tier and B tier, I think. But then we go to S tier. Now S tier are cards that as soon as I saw it, the previews, the leaks, whatever from Poke Beach, Justin Basil, I knew I had to have it. I knew I had to have it. Based solely on the artwork. And obviously, some of these are my favorite Pokemons, but some of them are not my favorite Pokemons. Like, I want to say Deerling, Solbug, Cleffa, Meryl, Horsey, Wattrel, a Castform, even a Shiftry are anywhere close to being a Pokemon I will recall as one of my favorites, okay? Now, if you watch my videos and know me as a collector, I love badass looking cards. So, Tyranitar, Groudon, Cerulege, Palafin, Yveltal, Steelix, Skarmory, Latios, even Shiftry all look badass. And they automatically go in S tier because it just fits the exact art style that I like, all right? And then you got cutesy cards, fun cards. Like Castform is definitely a fun cutesy card that most of them are way lower than this one, but I think they just do it so well for Castform in all its form, floating up in the sky above the whole region. I think that's great. And you already know, I'm not really an Evolution collector. I sold all my EX cards or whatever that had Evolution in it, Umbreon, Gold Star, all those cards that from Celebrations, Trinity Galleries. I sold all of them. But this still to me is probably one of the best looking EV cards. I have a vision to have this EV as a centerpiece to all my alternate art evolutions when it comes in. I think it's a great card. I want it in my collections because of that reason. So it's an S tier card. The colors on this one is really unique, right? And it fits the Pokemon perfectly. Ninetales, Obsidian Flame, super cheap. I bought it for, I don't know, less than $10 but I knew to buy the card right away when the price was right. Even the Tyranitar. Tyranitar, I think currently is the only English card I still have. And I bought this at $20. So when I knew it would hit $20, like, you know what, that's what I'm willing to pay to buy this card. And this one I bought in Japanese before it became a promo in English because I knew I wanted the card. So S tiers are instant yes. Like I knew right away I wanted to buy the card. A tiers are cards I like to buy, and I'll focus on buying them once I get all the S tier cards. I believe I own every S tier card except for maybe the Horsey, but I think that's on the way. It's one of the newer cards, so I just ordered it recently from Japan. But anyway, so S tier, yes, I knew right away I need to have that card. A tier is I like to have the card, so I'll focus on getting these at the right price when the price drops a certain point. Nowadays, price just goes up. B tier are cards I like to have one day, but no rush. So I like the art a lot for a lot of these cards. And I think it fits the Pokemon very well. Like Fido fits perfectly well. Super realistic. So B is I like to have it one day because the art is actually pretty cool. C tier is where most of the bulk of the cards are. That's cards that I just don't have much interest in. I don't care for it, but I'm not saying it's a horrible looking card art style wise. And then because D tier is where pretty much where all the cards I don't like the art style like that I don't like go into, and cards I probably never ever want. So when these pop off, I don't FOMO. Like I have no fear of missing out on it. Anytime these cards pop off, there's no FOMO. I'd rather just sell the cards as soon as I can to buy something in a higher tier. So if I'm paying $20 for a Tyranitar, $25 for this Groudon, and when at the time at those point that you could buy it at, I wouldn't want to spend more for it. So it's easy to know what you're gonna spend on a Pokemon card based on your tier system. So I hope this tier system kind of makes sense to you guys to help you determine what cards you want to buy, when you should buy it, why you don't need to FOMO on over every card that goes up in value. And I know a lot of people like to make videos about what's undervalued, what's not undervalued. But if you have a system like this, you've already determined what's undervalued, what's fair value, what you want. All right, what you want is what's fair value to you. So I hope this video helped you guys. And before I finish the video, I want to just tell you guys, there's only 19 cards out of the 200 plus cards in this list of illustration rares released so far. Only 19 are must-haves for me. So anytime a card gets pumped, I really don't care because there's only 19 that I must have. And the fact that only one per each set kind of exists, right? I mean, this is Paldea Evolve, Paradox Rift, Surgeon Spark, put in Fates, Paradox Rift. So there's maybe 1 or 2 cards in each set that I must have, and I'll get them. So I don't have to, I'm not a master set collector, so I don't have to waste so much money buying cards I don't want or need. A tier, I did the math, I think it's 55 cards if I can count. So total wise, for cards I actually want in my collection, based on S tier and A tier's reasoning, is must have and like to have 74 total cards out of the 236 cards on this list. That's only a third, that's 31%. So a third of the cards that have been printed, I actually want. And the only cards that really has pumped up out of the blue unexpectedly was the Magic card. I think most of these, I'm not shocked that these pumped up or anything else that's going to get pumped up, because I will view it as, yeah, it was overdue. These are undervalued cards. This is a brand new Pokemon, probably would never get pumped up. Castform being pumped up, highly unlikely. But everything else, B tier, C tier, I don't really care for it, you know. So this got pumped up, I don't care. This is very expensive. This got pumped, I don't really care because I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything, right? There's no fear of missing out because they are on the lowest tier for me. So hopefully this helped out anyone that's kind of all over the place with your collection goals. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.